class today. My name is Claire and today we're working through an autumnal cosy flow, so very grounding, can be done in the morning or in the evening, in a really nice dark cosy room. We're not really leaving the floor too much, so lots of seated and grounding positions just to either start your day or end your day on a positive note. If you'd like to set yourself an intention before we start this practice, I invite you to do so. And as always, if anything feels uncomfortable, please modify, take child's pose and don't do anything that doesn't feel good in your body. And you can always just come down to a posture that does feel good or a variation as we work through this flow. So thank you for joining me today. We are going to start on all fours. So we are going to start in a variation of child's pose. So if we come to all fours, first of all, to check our alignment, we're going to bring the soles of our feet or our big toes together, knees apart, and just push our hips back nice and slowly. If this feels uncomfortable, then please feel free to put a cushion under your knees or a blanket, or bring your knees together so your thighs can support your back. If we just have a look at my spine here, so try not to round the spine, make it nice and flat, and walk your fingertips up to the top of the mat, so you do feel a subtle stretch along the armpit, but nothing too much, as I just want you to come down, the forehead finds the mat. Again, if that's uncomfortable, then you can maybe bring your arms up to create a pillow, or put a pillow under your forehead. Anything that feels comfortable, just to allow yourself to really arrive on the mat in your child's pose. So take your eyes to a very nice soft gaze, or maybe even closed. And let's think about our breath here. So as we're in the child's pose, really feeling that stomach expand and contract. If you've got your knees apart, then try and fill that space that your thighs have created with your belly as it expands. Have a think about all four corners of your ribs. Imagine them coming away from each other and contracting back in, but just also adding to this sense of ease and comfort. And as we here in our child's pose, really feeling supported by the earth, by your mat, by your carpet, just really grounding down and arriving. If you've just woken up, then just try not to stress too much in this posture. And if you're using this to wind down in the evening, almost create the sensation of melting into the floor with the breath. So let's think about breathing for the count of 4, 4 and 4. So we're going to inhale, 2, 3, 4. Let's pause, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 2, 3, 4. We'll do that 2 more times. So inhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now pause, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. And pause, 2, 3, 4. If you're not enjoying the pauses, then just breathe for a count that suits you. Maybe try breathing for a count of 5 now. Whatever feels good, just take a couple of rounds of breath in your own time, finding what feels good for your body. Thanking yourself for tidying up, showing up for yourself. Let your next inhale be the biggest inhale you've taken so far today, and maybe your exhale be a really loud audible sigh. On your next inhale, come up to all fours tabletop. Now as we take a couple of rounds of cat-cow, so you're going to need to bring your feet out, feet and knees parallel, knees and hips in line, wrists, shoulders, elbows in line, and just a tiny engagement in that belly button. Nothing again too strenuous at the start of the practice, and whatever feels good with your feet. I like my feet untucked in child's pose, but if you find that that's not making you feel particularly stable this morning or this evening, just have your toes tucked. As we inhale, we're going to dip our belly button towards the mat and really think about the chest coming through that space between the biceps. The chin comes up, the gaze comes up, looking at that imaginary horizon, maybe pushing down through all four corners of the hands, the knees, the tops of the feet. And as you exhale, continuing with that pushing down, rounding the spine, tail button tucks, almost pointing down to that space between the knees, the gaze follows, looking up at the belly button. And then inhale, do that again, so rounding in the opposite direction, belly button pointing towards the earth. Exhale, rounding down, gaze comes to that space in between the knees. Let's do this 3 more times. If you prefer, take a wild version of cat-cow, so you can just swing around drawing figures of 8, or if you prefer more traditional, that's fine. Just movement with breath, breath with movement, really elongating the spine here, or just creating that sense of stretching all the way along the body. And when you've done your 3, meet me in stillness for a minute, catching your breath. You may want to close your eyes if you feel comfortable, but if not, carry on with your eyes, a soft gaze. We're going to walk our hands like a couple of handprints in front of your body. So if you've got long arms like me, you may even find your arms come off the mat. But keeping our hips and our knees in line, we're going to melt the heart towards the floor as we take puppy pose. Really thinking about the stretch coming on the bottoms of your arms, your armpits, your chest, and not so much your back. You can help by engaging your belly button back towards the spine. If you can't go any further than this, that's absolutely fine. It's taken me a long time to be able to get my chin to the mat. Just do what feels comfortable, but make sure that as you do this, your shoulders haven't come up all the way up around the ears, and you've introduced an element of stress to the shoulders. Try to keep them peeling away from the ears. If that means you've not gone down as far, that's absolutely fine. So we're going to hold here for a couple of breaths again. Really enjoying the sensation of a stretch from our fingertips to our hips. And then when you're ready, this can be the bit that's difficult to do, that's come up this posture by inhaling, pushing down with the hands, bringing the hips forward, the pubic bone towards the mat, as we bend our elbows delicately here, placing them on the mat like they're made of glass, and we're here in Sphinx pose. A very subtle back bend. I really like to push back with my elbows towards my feet, pull my feet towards my elbows, and push down through the whole length of my forearms, almost allowing the chest to come through the biceps again, making sure the ears are relaxed, the chin level with the mat, gaze soft. And as you inhale, you can almost feel your belly button pushing into the mat. Exhaling to support your lower back. Hold here for a couple more breaths. And this time when you exhale, push down to the hands, bringing the elbows out towards the sides of the mat, the whole of the torso supported by the mat, by the earth. Hands come underneath the shoulders, elbows bent in line with the ribs. Push back all the way, really slowly. We're coming back into child's pose. Think about how you'd like your feet and your knees, if you want your knees apart and your big toes touching, absolutely fine, or the other variations also good. Let's make sure our shoulders haven't come up to our ears. Push down through the hands, feel that stretch all the way along the arms. Keeping the left hand where it is, bring the right hand on top of the left hand, almost allowing you to gaze under your right armpit. Feeling a stretch all the way along the right side of the body. You could tiptoe the fingers on the left even further out, so you really emphasise that stretch, but it's not essential. Then inhale, place the right hand back where it came from. Back to child's pose. And as we inhale, tiptoeing that left hand so it comes on top of the right hand, again looking under that left armpit, feeling the stretch all the way along the left side. If you want to try another way of emphasising this stretch, try pushing your hips even further back and walking your fingertips towards the top of the mat. And when you're ready, placing both hands on the mat again, fingertips spread nice and far apart. Should be able to see triangles of the mat under the fingertips. Imagine your palm, if your hand is like a square, pushing to all four corners. Feel that stretch along your arms. Push down to your hands, inhale. We come back up to all fours, untucking those toes, bring the knees parallel with the ankles. Again, we're back in that all fours tabletop. Do a couple of figures of 8s with the hips, really nurturing the hips, the pelvis, the back. You suffer from lower back pain as it gets colder, or back pain as our shoulders hunch up around our ears. So we really want to be mindful of looking after that part of our body through the autumn and winter. Then look down at your hands, make sure your fingertips are spread nice and far apart, pushing down through all four corners of the hands again, toes are untucked. We're going to very, very gently lift our knees off of the mat. You may feel a little bit of fire in your core here, creating some warmth to stay with you throughout the day. And when you're ready, pushing the hips back in space, the legs may straighten or stay bent as we find ourselves in our first downward facing dog. If your legs are bent, that's absolutely fine. As I always say, if your heels don't come towards the mat, it's not a big deal. The essential part of this posture is the length that we're creating from our hands all the way along our spine to our hips. So to keep that length, if it means your knees are really bent, that's absolutely fine. Hold here for a breath. If you wanted to stretch out the legs, paddle in your downward dog for a couple of breaths here. And making sure now that your hands feel nice and stable on the earth, grounded down. Pause for a moment, find your breath, coming back to that inhale, exhale. Let's inhale, sweep the right leg all the way towards the sky. And then when you're ready, bringing the knee towards the nose, but very gently. And then placing that right foot in between the hands at the top of the mat. Left knee comes towards the earth. If it causes any pain at all, then roll the mat over just to create a little bit of extra support for that knee. Rock back and forth a couple of times here. Really, we're just doing this to warm up the legs, the hips. So you can do whatever feels comfortable here. Meet me in stillness. Let's swing our hands all the way towards the sky, but just make sure that your torso, your pelvis is tucked. So if that means you need to come a little bit further out of this posture, that's absolutely fine. Only come forward when you're sure that both hips pointing forwards and nice and level. Then inhale to sweep the hands towards the sky. And as we exhale, let's twist. Left hand comes forward, right hand reaches towards the back of the mat. Arms in a nice T shape here. Belly button engaged. Enjoy the stretch. Try to imagine someone pulling your fingers in opposite directions here. Inhale again. As you exhale, let's frame that foot. And we're back in our low lunge. So you can either rock back and forth or bring your hands to your hips, just enjoying that stretch all the way along the left hip flexor. Place the left hand to the mat next to your right foot, untucking the left foot this time. And we'll take an easy twist, so right hand comes towards the sky. We hold here for a breath. Imagine your arms are still in a T shape, so should be level, shoulders almost stacked on top of each other. Exhale, delicately place that right hand next to the right foot, and we're in lizard. We can rock back and forth here again. Just want you to really feel nourished and warm and cosy, supported by the earth. So if moving back and forth feels good, please do it, and to any shape that feels good for your body. No one's watching you. Or if you prefer to be in stillness, that's absolutely fine. You can go deeper into lizard if that's good for your body. But if you're with me, we're going to rock back and forth. And then when you're ready, really gently placing that left knee back on the earth. And when you're ready, we're going to inhale, rotate that right hand all the way towards the sky. And if you want to, we go a little bit further, reaching back. You can stay here. If you want to go even further, bringing the left foot away from the earth and reaching for it with your right hand. A little stretch for the hamstring here. If you want to go even deeper, turn the chest towards the sky, the gaze up towards the ceiling, towards the clouds, wherever you're doing this practice. And let's release that foot, making sure it doesn't sling back. So we're just going to take it very gently back to the earth, rotating that right hand back. It's next to the left hand. We're back in our lizard pose. Untuck the left foot and very gently take the right foot away from the mat. Right foot meets left foot. We're in plank. Let's imagine that the space between our shoulders is pushing towards the sky. Our belly button's engaged. Our heels are pushing into an imaginary wall. Really feeling a little bit of fire in our core here. Now you can meet me back in downward facing dog, or if you wanted to just build a bit more heat here, bring your knees towards the mat. We'll take knees, chest, chin. The chest comes to the space in between the hands, Push down through the hands, push down through the pelvic, the pubic bone. We're in cobra pose just for a breath. Exhale, release, tuck the toes. Let's push back to our knees and we'll push back to downward facing dog. So no surprises, now we're going to do this on the other side. So when you're ready, meet me in your downward facing dog again, making sure your spine's nice and long. You're supported by the earth, you feel steady, relaxed and calm. And when you're ready, inhale, bring that left foot towards the sky. Knee to nose, just for a pause here. Softly place that left foot in between the hands. Help it along if you need to. Gently place the right knee on the mat. Untap the right foot. And let's rock back and forth. Half Hanumanasana, half splits if you wanted to go really far into this. But just rocking back and forth for now. And maybe if you do this video again, build up to that half splits. What version suits you. You can walk the hands along the mat as well if that's something that suits your body. And when you're ready, meet me in stillness. You can untap the foot if that feels stable for you. Thinking about pushing your hips forwards, tucking your tailbone. Let's come up into that low lunge. You can keep your hands on your hips if you wanted to. Open your chest or swing the hands towards the sky briefly. And with your exhale, let's twist towards the left. So left hand behind you, right hand in front. Arms out to a T, people pulling your fingertips in opposite directions, feeling your arms come alive. When you exhale, frame that left foot. And we're going to come back into low lunge just for a breath here, this time with our hands on our hips, pushing all the way along that right hip flexor to open up, create some space here. Right hand finds the mat, left hand peels towards the sky, knee comes away from the mat. We're in our easy twist here. Pushing down through that right hand, reach into the sky with the left hand, right heel really pushing into an imaginary wall here. And when you're ready, exhale, bringing the left hand inside the left foot, and we're back in lizard pose. So try to remember what you did before, if that's rocking back and forth or still. But if it's not the same, it doesn't really matter. If you wanted to, at a later stage, go a bit deeper in this posture, you can push against your left knee to open up your hip a little bit further. When you're done with rocking back and forth, again placing that knee on the earth, nice and gentle, bringing your foot towards your heel and reaching behind it with your left hand. Only if this feels good on your hamstring. If you wanted to go further at any point on this, the next variation is to bring your forearm to the mat. But if you're here with me, really imagine pushing your foot into your hand pushing into your foot, and allowing your heart to peel towards the ceiling and your gaze. And when you're ready, let go of the foot, don't let it slingshot back. Both hands towards the top of the mat, shimmy your left foot out a little bit, untucking the right knee, and we're back in plank pose here. Again, you can stay in plank if you want to feel the warmth in your core. You can take chaturanga, or if you're with me, we're going to take knees, chest, chin. And then when you're ready, inhale up to cobra, elbows alongside the ribs, pubic bone pushing into the floor. Exhale, melt your chest towards the earth. Push back, knees, downward facing dog. Wonderful. So we've gone through the kind of more standing almost postures with this sequence today. So hopefully we feel nice and warm, but we still feel cozy, supported, grounded as we go through the next stage of this class. So we're going to keep our feet at the back of the mat, and if it's possible for you, walk your hands back, one handprint at a time. So your hands come back to the back end of the mat. If not, if you can't do that, that's fine, just whatever way feels good for you. So we're kind of in our forward fold here, spine nice and long. If you can't keep your spine long, again, bend your legs. Really think about your belly button pushing into your thighs. That will really help you to eventually be able to straighten the legs but keep the spine long. Now, shimmy your feet out so your toes are coming off the edge of the mat, and just allow your hips to come towards the earth. If you're on tiptoes, that's absolutely fine. You can always put a book under your heels, whatever way feels comfortable for you. to find our squat. And if you're with me, you can bring your elbows, the backs of your arms to your knees, really pushing against those knees to create some space in the hips. You can stay here. If you wanted to go further, bringing the right hand towards the mat, let's peel the left hand up towards the sky. Gaze follows those fingertips. Exhale, release both hands on the mat. Inhale, bringing the other hand towards the sky now. And exhale, release. We're back in our squat. If crow pose was in your practice today, please feel free to take that. I'm not taking that today, but if that's something you're working towards, and it's a good point to do this in your practice. Let's windmill the hands to the top of the mat if you're facing the side, or whichever way feels good for you, to come back into your downward facing dog just for a breath. Let's exhale, bring your knees towards the mat, cross the legs behind you, working your hands towards the back of the mat, and we find ourselves in seated. I'm going to face you, but you don't need to move if you don't want to. We're going to bring both of our legs out in front of us, and with an inhale, bring the left foot all the way up towards the inside of the right thigh. Rotate the knee out, left foot placing and pressing the inside of the right thigh here. And let's inhale, sweep our hands towards the sky, keeping that spine nice and long. Let's reach out for something in front of you, maybe a nice cake, cup of tea, anything that you're looking forward to at the end of the practice. And when you can't reach any further, then allow your hands to come to the mat, a cushion, your leg, anywhere that feels good, as we melt our torso over the leg. If you really want to come into a deep stretch here, imagine your chin reaching for your foot. You almost want to have the whole of your torso on your thigh, your knee pointing towards your foot, your shoulders away from the ears. Hold this here for a breath. As we inhale, we're going to sweep our left hand all the way towards the sky. The left hand finds a space behind the left hip. Let's sweep that right arm all the way up, reaching behind us, baby wild thing. And this time when we come down, we're going to bring the right leg out on an angle. The left foot is still pressing into the thigh, sweeping our arms up. Let's reach for that right foot. If your knee is the nearest thing you can reach for, just bring your forearm anywhere along the leg. If you wanted to go deeper, try to wrap your peace fingers around your right foot and bring your left hand out on a diagonal, really emphasising the stretch all the way along the left oblique, fingertips reaching to the sky, or even that right foot. Hold here for a breath. Left hand comes back behind you. If you did have your peace fingers around your right foot, maybe a bit fun just to bring it with you. But let's place the soles of the feet together. We're in our butterfly bound angle pose. Let's just flap the wings like a butterfly, or even if you want to peel the soles of your feet apart like it's a book and pretend you're reading that, using your elbows to push your legs further apart. Just different variations. Again, we're going with the theme of feeling warm and cozy, so do what feels good for your body. And then when you're ready, using your hands, bring your knees together. I'm going to take a little diversion through boat pose here. So just if you can, if you want to, just keep the toes on the mat. If you want to go further, bringing 1 foot away, even further 2 feet away, even further arms away. But again, peel those shoulders away. Make sure the spine's nice and straight here. Engaging your belly button. Holding here for a breath. If you want to go further, you can kind of do some cycling or boat rows, just reaching for alternative ankles. This is just if you want to build up on this practice and want to make it a bit more strenuous. No need if you just fancy giving yourself a hug. Bring the feet to the mat, dip the chin to the chest, hold here for a breath. And no surprises now, we'll do this on the other side. Left leg out straight, right foot presses against the inner seam of that left leg. Swing the hands towards the sky, keep that length in the torso. Imagine that your ribs and your hips want to get as far apart as possible, belly button draws in, and then melt that torso over the thigh. I sometimes like to do this with my knee bent so I can really push my abdomen into my thigh and reach. And then when I feel I can't reach any further, just try straightening the leg. But that's just a different variation of this posture, or a different way to get into this. Again, reach out for something that you really, really want. If you're up here, that's absolutely fine. Take one more breath, and when you're ready, inhale, sweeping that right arm up and behind you, comes to behind the hips. Left hand swings up, baby wild thing. Exhale, releasing the hips back to the mat, swinging that left foot out on an angle. We're in the seated pose here, a variation of a side bend. So bringing the left hand somewhere that feels good on that left leg, reaching for the toes if you can, and then sweeping that right arm up and over, or even just up, as long as you've got this nice stretch along the side. Try and imagine your right hip bone pressing into the mat and your right hand reaching away, so we have this nice diagonal line of energy all the way along the right side. Reaching here for one more breath. If you've got the toes, bring them with you. If not, just bring both feet in as if you're coming into cross-legged, but place the soles of the feet together. This time, hands grab the feet, push them together, torso nice and long, shoulders really away from the ears. Flap those legs like butterfly wings. Hands on the outside of the knees, let's bring the knees together. Bring the hands to the backs of the thighs, walk the toes in close, keeping the spine nice and long. Everybody steers with me this time just for a little bit boost of energy before we come to more relaxation posture. Engage that belly button, bring 1 foot away from the mat, 2 foot away from the back. Mat, make your boat nice and tiny by pressing your thighs into your belly button. And let's go for it. We're going to bring the arms parallel to the mat. Hold here for a breath. Hold here for one more breath. Then crossing the legs and meet me cross-legged facing the top of the mat. Let's just roll our shoulders a couple of times. Really just melting into the mat now. Taking a couple of breaths. We'll inhale, swing that right arm all the way up. Finding a space behind us. Left hand finds the outside of the right knee. Gentle twist just for a breath. Inhale, sweeping the arms up towards the sky. Exhale, twist to the other side. Inhale, sweeping all 10 fingertips towards the sky. Uncross the legs. Feet, soles of the feet find the mat. Arms parallel. Let's imagine vertebrae by vertebrae. We're going to bring the whole of our spine to the mat. You can do this super slow and really feel that belly button engaged, but if at any point it hurts your back, just come all the way down. Let's take a quick cuddle, so bring the knees towards the chest, wrapping our arms around and rocking back and forth. If that feels like it should be a happy baby, wrap the peace fingers around your toes. Again, rock back and forth here. And when you're ready, bringing the soles of the feet towards the mat, reach out with your fingertips, tickle the backs of your ankles, the whole length of your arms supported by the earth. Let's take a moment here. Let's make sure we feel grounded, we feel safe, supported. Take a really deep breath. Your shoulders are away from the ears. And now we're going to push down with our feet. We're going to bring our hips up, our chest up, almost as if we're trying to push the hips towards the top of the mat and the knees towards the bottom. A quick diversion through bridge pose. Stay here, or if you want to go further, shimmy those shoulders underneath yourself, the whole length of the arm pushing down. Hold here for a breath, like your chest is trying to come up towards your chin, but nothing too strenuous for the neck. And then when you're ready, exhale, release the hips back towards the earth. Untuck those shoulders. Let the energy settle here just for a breath. And then bring those chest back, the knees back up towards the chest. Rock back and forth. Give yourself a little back massage here. And when you're ready, find a seated or laying down posture that feels good for you for your final relaxation pose. I tend to take Shavasana like this. I find it's much better for releasing any lower back tension. So if you are working with that, try and take this, but imagine just pushing your belly button slightly in towards the earth and feeling the whole length of your back pushed down by the earth, and then just letting that go slightly, and you should find that releases any lower back tension. So stay here, maybe lie down completely, whatever feels good for you. Reach for a jumper or a blanket, pause the video so you can stay here longer, and then if you're with me, let's close our eyes. Let's take a really long breath. I'm mindful that some of you may be doing this in the morning and obviously don't want to fall back to sleep, or some of you are doing this in the evening and don't want to go to sleep too early. So I'm leaving this with you. If you want to pause the video to take Shavasana, please do now. If you're with me, let's come back to that breath. So a really long inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Audible sigh, a really loud sigh so everyone can hear you. 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're familiar with lion's breath, do feel free to take that now. So inhaling, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stick the tongue out, eyes go up. Really loud audible sigh for your lion's breath. 2, 3, 4, 5. A couple of rounds of breath in your own time now. Let's imagine melting into the mat. Let's imagine ourselves feeling grounded. Let's imagine ourselves feeling supported. And as we're here, come back to that intention if you set one today. If not, I'd like you just to thank yourself or find something to feel grateful for. Maybe just saying thank you for dedicating some time to your body today to come to the mat. And maybe using that gratitude to go about the rest of your day. Or if you want to take that energy and love you've created for yourself and send it to somebody else, please do that now. Bring a smile to your lips, relax your jaw, relax your shoulders. Roll onto one side of your body if you're lying down and gently come up to a cross-legged position, keeping your eyes closed. I'd like you to rub your hands on your legs here, creating some heat. And delicately place those hands over your eyes whilst they're still closed. And allow the palms of your hands to gently slide down your face so your fingers are in front of your eyes. Pull your fingers apart a little bit to let some light in and very gently open your eyes. Smile. Bring your hands to prayer in front of your face. Draw it down towards your chest, pausing here, dipping your chin, coming back to that moment of gratitude that you created earlier. I extend my gratitude to you for practicing with me today. I hope you've enjoyed it and I hope to see you again soon. Have a lovely day, evening and rest of week. Thanks for practicing with me. See you soon. Bye.